What about you guys? Back to another video with me, Dave Decoy. And in this video I just want to give you a quick rundown on how we built this pond. But before we get into that, I just want to show you. Sharon's been in the craft room again. What do you think of that? In a class. Also, she's been whipping up some vinyl stickers for me. So yeah, back to the pond. I mean, when we moved here, it was just a barren piece of decking, nothing on it whatsoever, and had a temporary swimming pool that was keeping McCoy, because we weren't really planning on staying here in this house, to be honest. And after a year in, I was fed up of looking at the koi in a pool. It was running an easy pod to a shower, and that was it. It wasn't heavy feeding. There was a heater on it and a UV, but I wasn't keeping the temperatures hot. But anyway, after a year of looking at them like that, my old man convinced me enough's enough. You're going to be here long enough. It's time I pulled the finger out and built the pond. So out came the circular saw. We cut up half the decking and started lifting it. So yeah, stay tuned for the video, guys. Hope you enjoy it. It'll just be a quick run through how we built the pond. Take it easy. So, first step of building the pond was running a circular saw along the decking here, and that's literally what I did. I just got the saw straight across and started lifting the decking underneath. Obviously I had to prepare this side of the decking to be stable once I'd removed all the supports, but that was the first stage. It was easier said than done. Whoever put the decking in, it concreted half of it in and bits here and there. It wasn't really a professional job, to be fair, so getting it up was a bit of a nightmare. The next part of building the pond was digging the footings. That end was clay, that end sand. It was a bit of a nightmare, to be honest. But the internal dimensions is 11 feet 5 inches by 5 feet. So once the footings were done, we laid a bit of substrate in there and put in a concrete collar, because it's an old school pond build. Not like the modern ones. It is a bit old school, because it was done on next to nothing. It didn't cost me a lot to build this. So, I mean, we mixed all the concrete ourselves in my own mixer and poured it in. So I suppose that, I don't know whether that saves you money or not, whether it's cheaper to just buy it outright and have it poured, but I had the mixer and I thought I may as well use it. So we poured the concrete collar in all the way around. It was between 6 and 8 inches deep in places, so it was a hefty concrete collar anyway, perfect for supporting the walls. After that then, once the collar had set, that's when the digging really started, and it was all done by hand. We had to get the spades out, and it was an absolute nightmare. One, the ground was clay. I was going to say concrete, but it felt like concrete at times. And we'd ordered skips to put it in. The skip company phoned me up that morning and said they couldn't make it that day, so we wheelbarrowed it all out into the front drive, piled it all up against the wall, and about an hour after we'd finished, the skips turned up which meant we had to move it all twice, so that was a nightmare. But needless to say, we got there, we got down to the depth we wanted, and next thing after that was to dig out the channel for the bottom drain. So once the bottom drain was in, which is here, and the channel actually runs over to this corner over here. Once that was in, the first layer of block could go on, which we laid them flat, standard breeze block, laid flat all the way around. We built up to give us a total depth of 5.5 feet, and right in the middle here is where I put a mid-level return. I wish I hadn't put it in the middle in hindsight, because now I have a 90 degree, which brings it out over to this edge, which gives me a proper flow. When it was in the middle, it just didn't seem to push enough down the bottom drain, so probably wasn't the best idea, that. So once we got the blockwork up the desired height that you see here to give us our 5.5 feet depth, it was time to put the sand in for the base before the liner went in. We banked the sand down to the bottom drain, which is just a standard 4-inch bottom drain, nothing fancy, no aerated. I just couldn't justify the price difference, to be honest. Standard 4-inch bottom drain, I think it cost me about 20 quid, but you want an aerated one, you're talking hundreds, so for me it just wasn't worth the spend. Not on this pond anyway, it's not my forever pond, and it was thrown together in 6 weekends with me and the old man, just because I was fed up looking at the fish in a temporary swimming pool. So once we got that banked and smoothed off, then obviously the rain came and flooded it, which was a disaster, but we got there in the end. After the rain came, I managed to get it dried out as best I could, and I used some old carpet I had when I had the offices recarpeted. I hung down the side of the wall, and I put the underlay for the liner. The liner I got from Absolute Koi, I think, and it was a boxweld liner. So that turned up. If you ever watch any of my underwater footage, you'll see that there is some wrinkles in it. I fitted it on my own, which is probably due to me being an impatient git, and when it turned up there was no one available to help me fit it, so I wanted it in, and that was that. So in went the liner, and I couldn't hold it up at one end with bricks in that and sort it on the other, so that's why I have a couple of wrinkles in it, but it doesn't bother me. It's as I said, this isn't me forever pond. So once I'd actually got the liner in, filtration was in, it was time then to fill up with water and get some fish in, and had absolutely no leaks first time, which is great. After that come the render in the front of the pond, which the old man did. Bless him, that was an absolute disaster. You know, I was thinking about it, it was hilarious because it kept dropping off, and you know, he thought I was laughing at him and I was laughing at something else. We ended up having a right argument over it. It was funny times, I must admit. I think the pair of us nearly killed each other on more than one occasion, so but we got through it in the end. As I say, we built it in only 6 weekends. It was up and running, and I think all in probably cost me less than 1,000 quid to build this pond. A lot of the filtration I already had, so that doesn't really count, you know, pumps, filters, UV, and stuff like that. The heater I already had. I would say probably 1,100 quid with the coping stones on top of the pond was the overall cost on this. Once the rendering was finally done, I got my kids to paint the front of it, breaking every child labour law going. don't like to get involved and they like to give me a hand. So we probably painted it a bit early, to be honest, as it's bubbled up in places. I think the render was still wet. So once we're done, we had 11 feet 5 inches long, 5 feet wide and 5.5 feet deep. It gives us just over 1900 gallons. I think 1927 or something like that to be exact. With the Nexus 200 and the Easy Pod, it's, well, I mean the Nexus 200's about 112 gallons on its own, so you know we're probably about 2100 gallons in total, including me filtration. So these guys are happy enough in here. I do believe it would come in under £1,000 on this pond, apart from the coping stones, so you could finish it off whatever way you want. To be fair, that's probably because, as I said, I had all the filtration. I suppose in most ponds it's the filtration that costs you the money. So anyway guys, this is part 1 of how I built the pond. I'll do another video on the filtration that I have and how I run that. That'll be the next stage. So if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, give us a subscribe. Big thank you to all the old subscribers and all the new subscribers, and if you haven't already, please smash the button. It helps me grow the channel. So anyway guys, look after yourself, take care and stay safe.